You turned that on? Okay. I'd like to call the November 5th Public Works and Health and Human Services meeting in order. Please rise and state the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. Changes or additions to the agenda?
We have one addition to the agenda, and it is item 12B, the deputy medical examiner.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Support. All right, all in favor, signify with aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries. All right, move on to the approval of the minutes from October 1st. Move and support. All in favor, signify with aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. All right, so we're moving on to item number 5, limited public comments. If there's anybody in the gallery that'd like to come up and give a public comment, now would be your time. Yes, sir.
Hello, most of you know me, the ones that don't. I'm Brian Ross. I'm the chairman of the Planning Commission. I've been on the Planning Commission for like ever. Those of you know Leonard Peters, he talked me into joining the Planning Commission a little over 30 years ago. Not knowing what it was, I still did it and been here for, seems like forever. I'm just here to make a comment on the zoning. I know it's going to be discussed today. And I just want you to know that myself, as well as the Planning Commission, voted the other night that we do not discontinue zoning. And I have a few comments on that. There's been discussion for months, I know, to have the townships participate in the funding to continue community development and zoning at the county levels. But it's been very difficult for the townships to do this. There's been no point person that has worked and negotiated with the townships. I had the opportunity of talking to almost all the supervisors before our meeting, and unanimously, they all said that lack of communication and different messages from anyone they talked to, and not allowing the staff to talk to them or negotiate was very frustrating for them. They could not get straight answers, time frames, and it seemed like the money figure was a moving target all the time. So I know they want to participate. They want to be able to do this, or the majority of them do, but there's a great deal of mistrust now over how it's worked. With all the things that have been taken away from the township that they're used to with police and other things, they feel like they've been left out. This is a good way to work with them at no cost for the county and for goodwill with the townships if we can work out a plan for them to pay their portion, but not allowing staff or anybody to take the lead on this to be able to pull this together has made it real hard. And couple more things. I'm a business owner in Eaton County. I have a construction and real estate business. So it is very difficult working in these small municipalities. Everybody has their own thing, their own setbacks, their own lot requirements, and where they will and won't allow stuff. It makes it very hard for anybody wanting to do anything in Eaton County. Even on a small level, if some homeowner wants to do an addition, you've got to try to catch that person in charge of zoning in that township. And you have to learn what they will and won't do, where everybody that builds in Eaton County or does any development or anything likes working here because it's pretty much standard throughout. I think it would hurt development because they'd have to learn every township. be able to work with some good old boy systems, which you tend to get when you get so localized in your zoning and your permits and stuff like that. And whether you're talking a big business who wants to put something in, or just your normal homeowner who wants to do something to their home, even if they are against development, you know, they want to keep their rustic area, which most people do. Most of those people still want to put up a barn, put up an addition, and it would make it very difficult for them and more expensive. The other thing I would like to say too is, if we let this zoning go back to the townships, they don't want it, but they'll take it over. Some of the bigger townships will have an easier time, like Eaton Township. They have the resources and they have the personnel to be able to set this up and do it. But some of the other small ones won't. They don't have the resources, and they can't afford to have the attorneys and everything to set this up. So it's going to make it really burdensome on them to do that. And unless they're willing to put a moratorium on until they can set their zoning up, this is going to be like going to Ionia, where you see business and you see a farm. Nobody wants that. Controlled development is the way, is the better way to do this. I've learned that over many years, and have it standardized through there. So I don't think anybody would like us to go to the way Ionia County doesn't do their zoning. And the townships want to do it, and they want to do it at a reasonable price, which would be much more if it was done with the county. But they need some help and some organization and a point person to be able to set this up. I would really appreciate it if the Board of Commissioners would allow someone be the point person to set this up and work this through. I know that Chris and his crew have tried to work out some numbers to be able to do this, but have been not given the authority to do it. Chris and his staff have the knowledge, the know-how of these people, and they could get something set up where it's not gonna cost the county. It can figure it in, how much it's gonna cost, and do it. And yearly, we can figure out if it was not enough or if it was more, and we can figure this out. But if we just keep bouncing numbers off and different people talk to them or don't talk to the townships, it won't happen. So please think about that when you're talking about it today and talking about getting rid of zoning, because I don't want this to be like going to Ionia and driving up there and this, and this. I don't think it's right for our community, and I don't think it's right for our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian. Anybody else? Yes.
Hello, my name's Allison Williams. I live at 4264 Martin Road. I'm speaking today in opposition of repealing the Eaton County zoning ordinance and dissolving the Eaton County zoning department as a whole. I've worked as an office manager for an Eaton County business, construction business, for 4 years, and have extensive firsthand experience working with Eaton County zoning as well as the divided zoning of Ingham, Calhoun, and Jackson counties. Eaton County Zoning Department demonstrates exceptional expertise in their area, responsiveness, and consistency in serving both residents and contractors. I've personally seen how other counties struggle, applications delayed for weeks, inconsistent enforcement of zoning ordinances, unclear communication. Eaton County sets a higher standard. Rather than dismantling an effective system, I urge the board to strengthen it by clarifying township zoning contracts and maintaining the recent fee adjustments, which help us ensure the department remains financially sustainable. Thank you for your time in considering the long-term benefits of keeping Eaton County zoning unified and strong.
Thank you. Is anybody else? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to number 6, agency reporting. First thing up is Tri-County Office of Aging.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joe Reeves. I'm the Finance Director for Tri-County Office on Aging, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about our report that we submitted to you all. And also, I have a few comments that may put some of those answers in context here, if you would bear with me for a couple of seconds. We request agency or funding for consortium dues as well as Meals on Wheels program. The dues are based on a funding formula in the consortium agreement of which Eaton County is part of. And it helps with the operational cost at an administration level of the agency, accounting services, payroll services, things of that nature, as well as use when we need some matching local money for grant funding. The home delivered meals is our biggest portion of the nutrition program, and that's why we asked for an additional donation to help offset some of those costs. I believe this number is from FY '25. There were 85,584 meals served to 424 participants in Eaton County and 576 meals to 44 participants through the Congregate Dining Site Program to residents of Eaton County. Combined, that's 56,000 plus meals. The average cost between both those programs is $8.41 per meal, and that equates to $472,305 that we utilized in funding to support those programs for Eaton County residents. That's it there. I guess we can get to the report if anyone has any questions over the answers we provided in that questionnaire for you.
See it? Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you, folks. We really appreciate your support, and shout out to the two members of this committee that are on our board, Jeannie and Scott. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That moves us to the Drain Commissioner.
Good morning, everyone. Here, the 2025 semi-annual report for the Drain Office. Does anybody have any questions on that so far? Yes, ma'am.
I like the updates that we're getting on the bank drain. Congratulations for trying to keep people in the loop.
Thank you. We try our best to maintain that, and it's very helpful for some people to have those updates, and that website has been very helpful.
Do we have any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Just if you could share if there are upcoming drain projects that you have petition processes going.
There's two upcoming drain projects that are in the report. One of them is the Higbee Drain, and that's right here in Charlotte. That one has been submitted to the controller's office. Everybody should be aware of that. That is mostly along Lansing Road, and currently, the report lays it out, but currently we're securing the rest of the easements needed to change the path of that drain. We're really hoping that we can get that bid out late this year for a spring start next year. And then the other petition project that is on the list that is in fruition still is the Brown Drain. I know I've talked to Mr. Hanson about that a couple times. He's asked me for updates. The Drain Office is fully ready to execute their portion of the Brown Drain petition. We're currently waiting for the Road Commission to finish up their stuff. They've got permits, they've got a pull still with Eagle, and I think everything's about done on that. We're, like I said, it's more the Road Commission at this point.
You got a follow-up?
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Okay.
And I believe some of those have already gone full faith and credit, but should this body be aware if one of those will come through the process for full faith and credit review?
There's the Brown and the Higbee both are still, need to come to the board for the full faith and credit. And those are the only two that I'm aware of at this time.
I do have one question, Marcus. Well, not a question, but a request, I would say. I really want you and the Drain Commission to get in a room with the Road Commission and sit down. And so we don't chip seal a road and then cut in a drain or cut in a culvert a few months later, because that makes me angry, and I know it makes the other people, you know, it's tax dollars to go chip seal the road, it's tax dollars to tear that asphalt up and put a new culvert in when we got to do a better job of syncing our schedules here, so the public gets the best, you know, use of their tax dollars, so.
Absolutely, and some of those, they're not drain commissioner culverts, they're equalization culverts for the road commission. And I think John does try to do a good job coordinating that stuff with the road commission to make sure that we're not doing things such as that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Drain Commissioner meeting this month, and I'm gonna tell them the same thing, that they need to sit down and talk to you, so we don't, Island, for example, right?
You're right.
Island Road gets chip sealed, a month later,
They dig it up.
they dig it up. So, and that makes everybody that drives down Island very angry that their tax dollars are being wasted.
Probably
That's what it is.
a lot of questions with that, yep.
So, all right, any other questions? Oh, yes. Commissioner.
Mr. Chair. Marcus, I have a question, and I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, but unfortunately, since the elected official is not present again, when you go and look for the retained signatures for the next project that you're talking about, for the signatures required, are you going to ask everybody in that area this time, or is it going to just be the minimum amount of signatures, such as one of the last projects?
You mean for the petition project that's in place?
Yes.
So it's already gotten underway. It's already received the signatures required in order to start the process. That's why we're in the process of the design phase has gone through, because we've got the approval to carry on with that project. The requirements have all been met and able to do the work that we're doing currently.
Okay.
And again, that's how a petition project works. It's brought on by the people. It has nothing to do with the drain office. All we do is we're a roadway that makes sure all the steps and all the procedures are being met the way that they're supposed to be met.
I just personally have a problem with the fact that one of the previous projects, one of your legal counsel that was up at the podium before a while back had stated they got their 5 signatures they needed and then they were done. What about the rest of the people that have to pay for that assessment as well? So that's...
And that's a hard thing to understand sometimes. Again, if you're not having a flooding issue, but your neighbors are, it's hard to understand how 5 signatures could dictate whether or not a project goes through. The drain code is written for the minority, not the majority. And if it was written for the majority, nothing would ever get done, because there's a lot of people that don't have issues, right? So you've got to think, what if that was me being flooded? I would appreciate the help that the 5 signatures are going to relieve my flooding issue, right? And I understand what you're saying.
Definitely need to get that code changed. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions,
I was
thank
just gonna,
Oh,
I wanted to give an update. So this is the first year we've done assessments through a contractual relationship with Spicer. So figured that we could just talk through, you know, the first round, you're always gonna have some hiccups, but through coordination through the treasurer's office and the controller's office and Spicer and the drain office, we were able to get those assessments through. We did find that we have to have better coordination sometimes with local assessing offices. So there were a few parcels that we had to really dig into the record, figure out when the split happened, how it happened. And so part of the discussion we had, Spicer had some ideas about a better automation process on your end to make it a less labor-intensive. So I believe the idea was to do a follow-up meeting in December to talk about that, as well as coordination with 14A calculations on drain. So there were a few items that we were talking through, trying to establish a better internal structure. Do you want to add anything on that? Because I know we had a good meeting.
I just think the meeting went really well, and I think that the coordination and the upcoming meetings that we're going to be having and the scheduling of future meetings to try and work through this, so it is a very simple process for everybody. I think it was a great outcome there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marcus.
Thank you.
Oh, now, excuse me, get back up to the podium. We got a late comer. Yes, Scott?
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner.
Chair. Marcus, on the Brown drain, is there still time to work with Spicer for public information for those that are in that district to help design, you might say, or what their thinking is on that, or are we leaving it all up to the engineering department?
Well, I think at this point, Spicer would be open to hearing any recommendations that were necessary. I know that there's a lot of sizing with culverts and stuff that has to be done through Eagle. They've got recommendations based on flow and whatnot. So I know that you and I have spoken about different ideas that you had, and I provided you with Chris's number, Chris Coco, and I don't know if you guys ever got in touch or not, but
Yes, we did.
what did he have to say about that?
We didn't really go into any detail as far, I just made recommendations of possibly instead of putting in the 36-inch culvert, that we have an open ditch in some of those areas.
Okay. Well, I would be very open to setting up a meeting between you and any other property owners that might have questions or concerns with how this is being done. Or if you want to bring different ideas to the table, I could set that up and we could try and work through that.
Okay, yeah, because I know some of the neighbors property that would like to see something larger than a 36-inch drain going in for the volume of water, because I'm sort of on the bottom of the water that comes down.
Right.
And so a lot of the property that we used to farm is not farmable anymore because it's been too wet, so. Okay, I will get with you later then, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Last call. Okay. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 7, construction codes and planning and zoning.
Hello. Included in your packet is our department report. Something that I erroneously left out is part of our enforcement process. We were able to get a property in Eaton Rapids Township cleaned up for free for one of our elderly property owners. It was a property that was in violation, had been in violation for a month. We were able to get them in contact with a contractor and have that work taken care of. Staff performed 7 surface mine inspections last month. In front of you is also a district change amendment, DCA 1025-4, which is a map amendment to the zoning ordinance that was considered by the Planning Commission at their October 7th meeting. That proposal is to rezone a .64 acre portion of a parcel to be adjusted to an existing commercially zoned property. So the .64 acre parcel is currently zoned limited agricultural, but to adjust it to the currently commercially zoned property, it would also need to be zoned commercial. The purpose of this lot line adjustment is to allow the business owner, the Planks, to be able to move their drain field and driveway to be compliant with MDOT standards and Health Department standards.
That's an action item, it's a resolution to the board.
lot line adjustment to the full board.
Update on the requested October 28th public hearing held by the Planning Commission for the purpose of rescinding the zoning ordinance in its entirety. As you heard from the Planning Commission Chair, Mr. Brian Ross, the Planning Commission unanimously voted to recommend not rescinding the zoning ordinance.
I just asked them to, but I just asked the administration, this map that, that I had is from 2023. Michigan State Extension Office did a study on zoning jurisdictions. So I just put it in there for reference, that's all. As for the planning the zoning ordinance, do any commissioners have anything to say? I mean, I'll just start off. So obviously, through this process, it's become, there's no communication or miscommunication or disrupted communication. So I asked the administration, who is the point person to be coordinating in between the county body and these townships in regard to their zoning?
Yeah, well, we also invited Tim Perone, our legal counsel, who has weighed in on some of these matters, so he's actually here too if commissioners have questions. Where we are at today is, I believe a date was mentioned at the hearing of potentially extending out through June if the townships are coming together for a solution within themselves. So that was something mentioned by Chairman Mott. Planning Commission did not make a recommendation about that. They just wanted to address the main cause of action at their level. So our point of contact for administration to help streamline is Claudine Williams. So she had the history of being the director for planning and zoning for years going back. And then also because some of the feedback we'd got was people felt like they were getting different answers. And some of that's not administration or county. I think just townships communicating with each other, you know, the game of telephone. So to help streamline that, Claudine will be the point of contact. We want to provide technical assistance and expertise where we can as the townships come up with the solution. So I think for today, there's no request for this body to move anything at this time while we sit and allow the townships time to have internal discussions. And then I can invite Tim up if you guys want.
Well, I just go ahead and I'll put a motion on the floor to continue to fund, I'll put a motion on the floor to push the Ways and Means, a budget amendment to fund the zoning portion of the department through the end of the year. So that way, the point person, Claudine Williams, can discuss and contact with the townships, and the townships and the point person for the county can decide if they're going to do a contract or how they're going to do it. And then this board can get another update in December, and then we can figure out if we have to give the townships some more time or not. So my motion on the floor is to move to the Ways and Means Committee that we fund the zoning portion of that department through December 31st of 2025. Yes, Commissioner.
For purposes of discussion, I will second that, but that brings my question. What is our current funding for planning and zoning for fiscal year 25-26?
What is the current?
Yeah, what do we have budgeted for planning and zoning?
Zero.
Yeah, so it was folded into, in preparation for contractual, we took it out of the general fund in a sense. We created a dedicated fund, so if we had revenue coming from the townships, it would reside in one fund, making it easier to do like reporting and providing information to the townships. So you guys adopted a budget that was reliant on income coming from the townships to fund that department. Hence, I think the reason Chair Barber is asking for that amendment is so that we can clearly allocate that. There were some fee changes in the prior year that are going to change the revenue going forward, so, and it looks like Chris is coming to the podium too.
Yeah, Brandy and I just talked this morning about it, and since October 1st, she's brought in about $25,000 in fee money. So we do have that in there right now.
So the budget amendment would be we would have staff evaluate that before Ways and Means. We would take into consideration the income that they've had and also possibly reducing staff hours to accommodate, to fit within whatever window Ways is looking for there.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. So just for my clarity, we don't really have any idea how much this budget amendment would cost at this time if we wanted to extend this through December 31st?
I believe the original estimate that was put together was that it was about $176,000 estimated, because there's a cost sharing between construction code and planning and zoning, where a portion of the salaries of the employees are paid through construction code revenue for work they perform doing those services. So ballpark, as of the last time we ran it, was about $176,000. Originally proposed to be paid for in $15,000 from each township with.
It's annual.
Correct.
He's asking.
Until December.
Just till December. Let me divide it by 12.
Right.
You guys got it. Yeah, so 14.6.
Yes, Commissioner.
Correct.
Thank you. So we're giving the town, I just want to understand this better because I'm not in a township that I've heard from. What are the choices really that the townships have in these decisions that they're going to be making, that we're extending the time through the end of the year?
Yeah, so the initial piece was retaining planning and zoning as authority through the county, and that would have been the contracting piece. And that kind of, at the last minute, started to fray a bit because some townships decided that they wanted to invest their resources to explore doing it on their own, which would have moved the question to, is $15,000 still viable, or is the price going to increase for those who remain? So I think where we're at on the table is it's the Joint Planning Act, right? And I'll actually let Claudine talk about it as the point person on it, but it would be a solution from the townships. And it's up to them, yeah, so if you want to take over.
Yeah, so what we've been talking about, what the townships have been talking about that they brought to us is a joint planning act, which would work similar to county zoning. So we've been talking about possibly having them meet with a consultant that we've been working with in the past. He's worked on 2 of our different master plans for us, so that the townships can have more information. Going back to the one voice, so they would hear from the consultant and he would let them know what their options were as far as moving forward if they wanted the joint municipal plan, or what their options would be if they wanted to move forward individually. So he can give them information on what that means for adopting a master plan and adopting a zoning ordinance and working together like that. So that's what they're gonna be talking about and reporting back on per the motion that Chair Barber had put forth.
What did you call it, municipal?
It's a joint municipal planning commission.
And we don't have one of those at this point, but we could.
No, there are very few across the state, so there's just a couple, like 2 or 3.
Yeah, on the map, it's the ones in red.
The red kind of blends in with the orange, but
So if on December 31st, they decided do we have a transition? I thought there was a sense of urgency, and I talked to Commissioner Barber, but I thought there was a sense of urgency that we do something by today so that we could send something to the board next week. And I'm just want to understand what has happened and where we are with that.
So the sense of urgency was if we were going to repeal the ordinance, we had to follow the process and procedure we took to adopt it. So for instance, that public hearing had to happen if the commission wanted the option to repeal the ordinance. That obligation has been met. It's not like that public hearing expires, say in like 30 days or 45 days. So now you have the option to move forward with the repeal if that's what you wish to do. However, we've met that statutory framework, so now in partnership with the townships, it gives you a better vantage point of knowing, are we turning it off right away? Or is there a framework we can help support an adoption of that will leave these communities still covered from a planning and zoning standpoint, even if the county discontinues our ordinance?
So does that mean then if someone comes to the department with an application or whatever you call it, for a zoning project, that if they come on December 31st, then the department will have the resources to finish it in January or however long it takes? Or I guess it just seems like we're throwing out a date here that it works for some things, but I don't understand.
So once the zoning ordinance is repealed, we have no authority over it whatsoever. That actually happened whenever we were working with Benton Township when they became charter and started doing their own planning and zoning. We actually had an application on file in our office. It goes away. It is no more because we do not have the authority to act on it any longer. If people come in and want to do zoning referrals, things like that, absolutely. Once we set that date of when it's going to be repealed, they can come in on anytime before that and get like a zoning referral. But as far as applications, they can apply for stuff, but if it's not done by the time the ordinance is repealed, then we do not have the authority to administer it. So, but they'll know that before December 31st. The goal, I believe that Chair Barber's trying to get to by setting the date of December is to get the townships to all come together and make a decision on what they're gonna do. And once they make a decision on what they're gonna do, the board can make a decision on moving forward. So if they come to you in December and say, we're all gonna go out on our own, can you please give us 1 year to develop a master plan and a zoning ordinance? It takes us X amount of time for a master plan, it takes us X amount of time for a zoning ordinance, and this is what we feel we need to move forward. Or they could come back and suggest the joint municipal planning commission, and that may take just as much time or a shorter length of time. But the township should be able to come back in December and let you know how they're moving forward and how much time they think they will need to move forward. And I think that's the point of putting a deadline on it, is to get an answer from them and not have it continue. We've been talking about this since March of this year. So this is to put a time frame on it, so we're not just talking about it anymore. Make a decision, how are you gonna move forward? And then we'll try and help in any way we can that's reasonable to help you achieve that goal.
And I'll acknowledge it's been tough for staff. It's been tough because the stop and go and the date changes and stuff, and we're trying the best we can to manage it. The transition of the authority for planning and zoning from a county model to whatever a local model looks like, it's an important one. And we're kind of writing the book as we go because we've never done this before. Our goal, though, is to make sure that we have a transition model that provides coverage to townships, so there's not a gap that leads to development that they probably wouldn't have wanted that's a footprint in their community for decades, right? So I think ultimately that's the goal, but we're kind of navigating as we go. We're partnering with 11 communities that all have their own duly elected officials, right? And so it's a process at each level. To Claudine's point and Commissioner Barber's point, the deadline is just to say, we need you to get your ducks in a row because you guys have to make important budgetary decisions related to the future of the topic.
Okay, so Commissioner Prora.
Okay, so I'm gonna agree with Commissioner Barber to move this until December. But as Claudine Williams just said, we put people on notice in March when we started our budgeting process
I was here for all the people who ever, the township supervisors and things, people that came up at public comment that didn't want this disbanded at the county level. I watched the planning commission the other night. I heard the exact same things that I heard about 3 months ago. And I am not convinced that 11 townships are going to agree. But on the other hand, when we talk about the plan that you just laid out, Commissioner Barber and Claudine, about going to December to try to get this organized and get people to agree, I don't want this dragged out and into the conversations that we're going to start next March and have it keep going. Because we're already cutting other things that we have to cut to services to our people. And we've already tried having police officers in Out County. 2 times we put it on the ballot. Every single one of those townships did not want to participate in a yes vote. So I have real concerns here, and I really don't want to go past when we start our next budget process in any shape or form. If there's nothing by then, I'm just not going to be a yes vote.
Commissioner Hanson?
Well, my question, I think, was answered by Ben. How many districts are we talking about? And he mentioned 11 townships, so.
11.
Thank you.
If they adopted that model, cities can join as well. It's not exclusive, but it would be up to the municipal members of that body to decide what their membership looks like. So, but yeah, it's the 11 that we're having the discussion with now, because that's who we cover.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This may require an answer from our attorney, but can't the townships adopt the ordinance book that's already written by the county as their own ordinances?
Go ahead.
Come on down, Tim.
This is Tim Perrone. Tim is our legal counsel that we use for planning and zoning and many other things here at the county.
Thank you. Yes, the townships are free to adopt whatever they want for a zoning ordinance. It can be as complex or as simple as they desire. It can mirror the county zoning ordinance. There'll probably be some modifications, but yes, they can. They can just take what the county has in place right now and adopt it for themselves.
All right, and then can't they also use their township portion of the county master plan as their master plan for the interim?
Well, they'll have to go through the process of adopting a master plan, but essentially, yes.
Okay, so we're not asking the townships to reinvent the wheel here. They can adopt what's already in place, so that would minimize that portion of it, even though at some point they've got to come up with their own master plan. I'm certain they'll probably want to go through that ordinance book and take out what they don't deem as necessary and modify. I have to mirror what Commissioner Wright said, I have a real tough time saying we're going to end this fiscal year and start this one without that budget in place. And then we turn around and say, well, we're going to, because we were persuaded to extend that budget. What's the next group that's going to come to us and ask for an extension? And how long is that extension going to be? And at what point do we find funding for it? So I seconded this for purposes of discussion, but I'm not supporting this at all. We've been talking about this for a year and a half, 2 years now. It's not like this was a surprise to anyone. So I am opposed to this resolution.
Man, this button is getting worse every day. So, I mean, I do honestly have to agree with a lot of the sentiment of Commissioner Pro-Wright and Commissioner Drosha. I mean, we've talked about this since March. You know, the master plan and zoning, if they think the county is doing such a great job, great, you can keep how we do it and just adopt it yourself. But, you know, I have a hard time with the extension because I don't see, I mean, we're talking about a month. We're talking about 1 month, and I don't know if we're going to get any substantial result here if we haven't been able to decide anything since March. And I can't speak to the communication aspect of it on an individual basis, right? I can only speak to what we've discussed here at this board. But yeah, I mean, I have a tough time with this because this is something that we made very clear. We telegraphed that this would be something we'd be considering a long time ago. And I agree. I like having, you know, county zoning. I think that's great. That was not really up to me to decide. And so I think that we're just kind of delaying the inevitable here. So I don't know. That's where I stand. I'm a little miffed about giving an extension, but I'll let everybody else talk.
I have one question for you. So at the December Public Works, right, if this passes, right, and we find funding and we give the townships and Claudine a little time to have further discussions, can at the next Public Works meeting, can we do the motion and approve repealing the ordinance and it ends at the end of the year? Is there a certain amount of time, you know, like the Board of Commissioners gets rid of the ordinance, is there a certain number of days before it actually can take effect?
There is a publication requirement.
Okay.
So Mr. Perone has given us the timeline that we would have to follow. So you would have to publish it. Now that the public hearing's done, it would have to be, after the board would approve it, it would have to be published in the paper. And then it's effective so many days after that.
But my question is so will we have enough time so we don't pass that December 31st date?
The ordinance would have to be adopted, the ordinance repealing the zoning ordinance would have to be adopted by the County Board of Commissioners, and it would take effect 7 days after publication of notice of its adoption is published.
So if it's adopted on the 17th of December and goes out in the county journal the weekend of the 20th, then it would be in compliance by the 31st, based on that. Right?
Okay, so just so
Assuming we can hit the timing, right?
So what I would add is, yes, that can all be done by December 31st. However, there are requirements that townships have to follow to adopt all of this stuff. So there's they have to publish that they're going to plan, and then they have to publish the plan, and they have a 63-day window where people can comment on the plan. You have to have a master plan to adopt a zoning ordinance. So you go through that process of the 63-day review and the adoption, then they also have to go through a different adoption for the ordinance. And that's a specific period of time too that they have to go through as well. And then I believe Commissioner Mott had a comment.
He did,
Barbara.
but since he's not a board member at the moment,
Okay.
he can wait till the end.
I didn't know if you saw him.
No, I seen him. I seen him. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the voting members of the board need to have say before a non-voting member. All right. So, okay, no, I'll keep my, all right. Commissioner Mott, would you like to comment?
So I'm going to try and clarify some stuff because I've been communicating with some townships and supervisors. Hopefully I don't confuse anybody else. But yes, we've been starting talks with them since March. However, I understand the townships have issues with us in communication. I get it. But the problem is we needed them to make some decisions. They needed us to make some decisions on what we were going to do. And those two things coming together is difficult because you've got a lot of entities in play. We brought all the townships together in August to try to understand where they're coming from and what they would like to do. We were hoping we could all have a consensus. That was not the case. A couple townships decided they were going to go out on their own, which then led us to where we are now, having to repeal this ordinance. So those are a lot of things that had to take place before we could get to where we are now. Would we do it differently in the beginning had we been here and had understanding of all of this? Probably. Would I probably made some mistakes. We all did. But this is all new territory for everybody, and it's painstaking. So I understand the townships. And as far as the planning commission that we have in the county, I think it's excellent. That's not the issue. Brandy and Chris have been excellent. Brian Ross chairing the Planning Commission has been excellent. The whole Planning Commission is excellent. And the young lady that got up and spoke, and I agree with her sentiments. If we could, I think everybody in this room would keep the Planning Commission. It works well. But our back's against our wall. Situation's different, we just can't. So going forward, I agree with Chairman Barber's motion to do this because we're still working with the townships. There is a new plan they're possibly looking at this joint plan that Claudine talked about. And they're still just looking at that. So it's gonna take them a good month to try to get together and decide. I think we owe it to them to try and do this. So whatever we can do to partner with the townships, if they go with this plan, is to go forward with 6 months, whatever it takes to get them on their feet. It's in my opinion, in the best interest of the county for us to help whatever which way we can. So we still need to hear back from them, but the deadline of December 31st is a good one. It gives them, another month to look this plan over and decide what they're going to do. So that's all I have.
Yes, Commissioner Toomey.
So I guess for my clarity then, funding to December 31st, are you suggesting possibly another extension after that to help the transition go smooth? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, there are some, at that point, there would be some definite plan going forward. And I believe there'd be some funds that we could possibly use to help with that process and that transition.
Are you just talking about general fund dollars or what do you?
No, we talked about, I think, in Claudine, or Ben can clarify, but there is money that we've always set aside for the planning, or the master plan, because we have to redo it, and it costs quite a bit of money to do that. And if we're not gonna be able to use that money, or won't use that money for that in the future, then maybe that's some money we could help out with the townships.
And I was gonna, exactly that. So you have both the revenue that's being generated by the department, plus then we do have the money that's been allocated year over year for preparing for redoing the master plan. I don't know the number off the top of my head. Do you guys have that? But we would rely on that. So I think when we present something in terms of a budget amendment at Ways and Means, it will be, this is the number, this is the monthly total, and there might be increments within that. So right now, we have 2 staff that work on planning and zoning, and it may be that we cut back the amount of hours and dedicate more into construction code and less reliance. So we'll have to have those discussions internally. But when we present the budget amendment, it will be the footprint we think we can afford with what we have, and pending the outcome of discussions with the townships and what they present back.
Commissioner Drosha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple financial questions. So what was the budgeted amount that we came up with between you and Commissioner Toomey per month?
It was 14, yeah, $14,600.
Okay. And we actually don't have 11 townships. I know for certain that Eaton Township is going to take on its own planning and zoning. So there's 10 now. And how many other townships have made that commitment?
What was it, 9? How many signed a letter of intent after things got? 6. Was it 6?
I would say not to rely on any of that information because we're waiting on a definite decision from them in December. Some of them might change their mind. We don't know that.
Well, here's my thought, and I don't want to put out a motion within a motion, but I want this to be considered. Instead of taking, let me backtrack one question. How much money do we have currently of that $14,600 in place that we can allocate to this?
I'll have that for you by Ways. I don't have it with me.
Okay, well, here's my thought then. Instead of extending this out, let's take a look at that $14,600, if we can do it, and distributing that among the townships that do not already have their own planning and zoning. So they've got some money to work with to get this ball rolling. So it'll be a little over $1,000. It's not a lot of money, but if they need to have some legal questions answered or whatever, I'm tired of rolling this ball down the road. We made this commitment over a year ago that if the first millage didn't pass, we were gonna have to change this dramatically. Here's the change. We're at that point. We're out of money. We've had our budget in place now for fiscal year 25, 26, since the first of this month. We're not magically printing money, so let's get this done. So that's not a motion yet, but after we have the vote on, should this get turned down, I would put that forward as a resolution.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner.
One last question. So I'd like to know exactly what is going to happen between now and December 31st. And then what are we going to do about that in January? The more we talk, the more confusing it gets to me, so.
So between now, it is, Chair, if I may. So what would happen between now and your December meeting is, we've been in contact with a consultant, Jason Ball, that we're currently working with on the master plan, and Jason has agreed to meet with the townships to let them know for sure what their options are and what the implications of those options are, so that they can determine how they want to move forward with that information. Do they all want to go out on their own, or do they want to participate in this joint municipal planning commission? So in December, the ideal would be for them to come back and say, this is exactly what we're going to do. And then we can help them achieve that goal once they have for sure decided what they're going to do.
And that means that all 10 or 11 or how many is there, all of them need to be on the same page, or?
Not necessarily. The Joint Municipal Planning Commission, they don't all have to be a part of. So a few townships may want to do that together. Other townships may want to go off and do their own, but they're going to have to let us know that in December. Like by the December Public Works and Human Services meeting, they're going to have to tell us who is doing what.
Well, I mean, shouldn't they submit something that, I mean, I just kind of feel like, well, what if they haven't decided? And what if they say they didn't know what we were going to do? I just wanted to be really clear what the townships, the expectation of them is by the end of the year, and the commitment they're going to make.
So I think everybody's in agreement, an option for the county to continue to provide the services off the table. That is not an option any longer for us, for the county to provide the service, even with contracts. It sounds, just reading the room and how everybody's talking, it doesn't appear as that is a solution any longer either. So their only two options at this point in time are to go out on their own, each individually as a township, or they can join forces and either all 11, or they can do three can be in a joint municipal planning commission together, 4 could be in one together, 5 could be in one together. There's no determination on how few or how many can be part of the joint one. So they're going to have to decide by December which option they're choosing.
And they're just going to call you on the phone or send you, how are we going to?
We can have them give it to us in writing if you guys
I
prefer.
recommend that.
Sure.
I think we should do, like Commissioner Mott said, I think we should do everything we can to cooperate and help townships get where they want to be. I mean, that's why we're here, right? We want everyone to be successful. But it's just been, the more we talk, the more, confusing this gets, or the more variables there seem to be in it. So in order to support the motion, I think that we should for sure have some kind of written communication that commits the townships, that we all know then how we're going to move forward.
Yes, Commissioner. Commissioner Wright, excuse me.
Yes, that's why I'm supporting Commissioner Barber's motion, because I believe we should be helping them, but we need to have something solid. I mean, when I watched over an hour of that last planning commission, I heard the same thing that I heard in August when everybody came to the podium. So, but we do need to move forward. This county tried different ways to produce more revenue to sustain services. And we can't do anymore. We have to move forward. We have to move forward for the future. So that's, go ahead.
Commissioner, go ahead.
I will support funding to December 31st, so the townships, and I agree, I would like to have it in writing, some sort of statement of intent or whatever they want to do on if they're going to do a joint municipal planning or if they're going to go out on their own, whatever. But to Commissioner or Chairman Mott's point, I would have a really hard time if they came here and were like, you know, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, but we need you to fund the department for a year and a half, and we're out another $250,000. Can't do it. I can't support that. And that's where I'm like, there is, like you said, there is some variables here that I'm like, what are we committing to? I do want to be as helpful as we can to the townships. Like this is not a situation that I don't think anybody wants to be in, right? I mean, you know, obviously we can see the importance of these services, but I guess that's my main hiccup, and I can go along with the 31st through today, but I think there's some big questions on what that looks like after that, on what that level of support is that we can commit to in terms of financially until that point. So I'll leave it there, and if anybody else has any other comments, otherwise I think I know what I need to know for today.
Commissioner Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have to agree with Chairman Mott and Commissioner Prowright, Commissioner Toomey. I'm all about, you know, as she said, helping the townships. But again, as Commissioner Drosha said, we told the people, everybody in the county, that there would be no funding, there would be cuts, there would be this, there would be that. So we have to adhere to that as well. I'm willing to support going to the 31st, as Commissioner Toomey said, but after that, if we don't see something solid or they're asking craziness, then no, I can't support moving forward.
So I would like to say thank you to all the commissioners for your comments. This way, that hopefully the townships watch this portion of the meeting so they can get some more clarity on this. So at this time, we have a motion on the floor to recommend, have staff figure out the final number and report and recommend to the Ways and Means Committee to fund the planning and zoning portion of that department through December 31st. And I had a second, and so I called a vote. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries.
Chair, if I could just ask Mr. Perone one question, as long as he's here, just for clarification. So we fulfilled our obligation of having the public hearing. They didn't act on that decision today, but because we fulfilled the public hearing, we don't have to have another one, correct?
That's correct.
So the board could decide in December to repeal it. They could decide to repeal it next July, 2026.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, Commissioner.
Just really quick, and there has to be some sunset on that, right? Like of when we have to, or is it just a really long amount of time after that
Nothing
hearing?
in the statute that indicates that. You've had the public hearing. The Planning Commission has made its recommendation. The Board of Commissioners can decide one way or the other with regard to the ordinance amendment, the ordinance repeal.
Okay,
You've
that's interesting, yeah. So,
It'd probably be different if you took an action not acting on it formally. That might close, maybe, I don't know.
not that this is gonna happen, I was just like, so we could deliberate this between a bunch of different boards for 10 years and be like, you know, that's just kind of weird. I was surprised there's not a sunset on that, but thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for coming this morning. Appreciate it.
And I don't know if it's necessary. I think we can put together a communication with whatever we do at Ways and send it to the townships, but the requirement in writing for something in December, I don't know. It sounded like there was a desire to do that as a resolution, so I didn't know if that still needed to be acted on, if that was the appetite of
I
commissioners.
think it is, so do we have to vote on that?
Probably, I think that makes sense to do it as a motion, so we incorporate it with what we
All
send
right,
out.
so I'll go ahead and make that motion that by, what's the December meeting day?
I think it's,
Of what? Of the Public Works in December?
Public Works, I think.
is the 3rd. Yep,
3rd? Okay.
yep.
Okay, so I make a motion that by December 3rd, all townships that want to participate or have to give their intent and what they're gonna do in their planning and zoning.
In writing.
Excuse me, yes, in writing. Formally, I guess.
From their
Formally would be the.
boards. Yep, from their yep.
Okay, I had a motion of support, so there is a motion on the floor. Open up for discussion and,
It's Commissioner Drosha, he'll
okay, age before beauty,
In
I
case he
guess?
wants to
All right.
ask my question.
If you ask mine, I'm walking out.
Okay, all right.
All right, so ask his question.
All right, so, but by December 3rd, we want to have in writing from the townships what their plan is.
That's what this motion is, yes.
Okay, so in that, at what point do we draw the line, say this and no further? Regardless of what they have to say, are we calling that December 31st? Or is that arbitrary at this point, waiting until we see what their commitment is going to be?
Well, I think at the December 3rd meeting, we can amend the prior motion that we just voted on to fund them to the 31st. We can make a better like we can decide, hey, you're posting this, that it's, excuse me, we're gonna have to go to the full board, and when the full board votes in December, then the posting, and we'd still be within the window.
The reason I ask that is because you're sending a resolution to Ways and Means, and there's no guarantee it's gonna come out of Ways and Means.
Very true.
So if it does come out of Ways and Means, now that price tag is upwards of $30,000 of additional funding for something that we've taken funding out of. And if we continue on past that December 31st, that's another roughly estimated $15,000 per month. So where in that resolution do we throw that number in and say, we can't do it beyond this point? We can't leave it open-ended financially, we can't.
Well, no, I mean, I think that at the Ways and Means, that would be we would actually, we'll have the numbers, and then at the Ways and Means, that's where that would be decided, that it's no longer gonna be funded.
Okay.
Or that no funding will be, no budget amendment will be put forward to extend funding. And then that will force, the Board of Commissioners to, if there's no funding, we'll have to enact, repealing that.
Well, we
ordinance
already
at that
know there's
time.
no funding, but this would be additional funding at this point.
And that's what we'll put together is how much was in the fund for the master plan that we won't need to use because we're doing away with it. What's that dollar? How much are we getting in revenue from the department? What's the footprint that is relying on general fund? What's the net difference on a monthly basis so you can see when that pool of money is depleted? And being financial, that will be something that you'll get to weigh in on as Chair of Ways and Means. From a policy standpoint, which is the recommendations coming out of this body going up the chain, we can send that letter as an action of this. We're not going to wait until Ways and Means because this body has made that action. So we'll send that about notice by the 3rd, and then the financial pieces will get fully clarified. And if you want to send another communication to the townships at that time about whether or not there's appetite for that gap or if that needs to get made up by the townships, I think that's a discussion you all can have at Ways and Means.
Okay.
Commissioner Timmy?
Thank you. Yeah, I guess just the one thing I wanted to add is, and when we solicit this feedback from the townships, is we should probably just say, like, because we can't force them to, like, talk to us, I guess. Not that I'm saying anybody has bad intent, but if they don't respond, we should consider that an intention of them wanting to go out on their own, is all I'm saying. Because if we might not get responses in time, if they take too long deliberating or don't respond or whatever the case is, I'm just saying we should probably make that clear what we will take that response as.
We can add that to the letter. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that was one of the things I was going to ask. Is there going to be a stipulation that they have to respond? I mean, like he said, they don't have to, but is there going to be some kind of guideline that if they don't, they're just automatically consenting? My other question is, if we have to have their communication back from them by the 3rd, and then we're going to discuss it at Ways and Means, would we amend the deadline of the 31st at that point, so that it would be the Ways and Means meeting, or would it then have to go to the full board after that?
So
Or am I confused?
this communication, right? So the prior motion was to request funding through the end of the December 31st.
Correct.
This motion is to say, hey, you have till December 3rd, which is the next Public Works meeting, to say what you're going to do. And then at that board meeting, we can recommend to the Board of Commissioners that we repeal the ordinance at that time.
Okay.
Or depending on what they say, depending on what the discussion is next month, we can come back and say, like, hey, they want to, I don't know. It's hard to tell what they want now. But at that December 3rd meeting, we can recommend to the Board of Commissioners for the December meeting to repeal the ordinance. And from the timeline I've heard with the posting and all that stuff, it would be appealed a couple of days prior to the 31st of December, possibly.
That'll at least give us some numbers that we're looking at as far as what townships we're putting into this and not, so, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so, yes, Commissioner Hanson.
Okay, I have a question then. If we receive a consensus by the 10 or 11 townships that we're talking about, so we can move forward, would their payments start in January then for their portion of the funding?
Well, at this moment, there's no,
There are no
stated.
there are no payments because there is no contract.
Okay, but would the contract start then?
We're not talking about a contract with the county whatsoever anymore. So their options are to either do their own zoning or to come up with some type of a joint regional plan within the townships. So the county wouldn't be providing the service. We're trying to determine when the county wants to end the service.
For ending, okay.
To end the service, and how are they gonna provide for the service at the township level?
Okay, thank you.
And we can include in the letter that goes out before Ways, saying that the financial particulars have been referred to Ways and Means to be determined. And then if we need to send another communication after Ways and Means, we can do that. So once you get into the financial particulars, if we need to send a follow-up saying, this is where we're at, we can. At this junction, this communication is just, you need to get us a determination of what you're gonna do by the 3rd. Failure to respond will be considered intent to do it on your own. And the question about funding through the end of the year is being posed to Ways and Means, and then we'll send an update.
Okay, so the motion on the floor currently is the communication motion. All right, so all in favor, signify with aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. That's been approved, so send a communication. All right, so I am moving off of planning and zoning. All right. I heard DeRosa has a time line, so we're gonna speed roll. No, we're not. All right, so next up on there is recycling.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today in our report, we have some general updates and some updates to some of our programs. So, general updates, we just finished our fiscal year reporting to the state of Michigan, and all of our numbers look really good. When I started this position 2 years ago, we were tasked with developing a hub and spoke model for the county, meaning we aggregate materials from around the county, process them and sell them at our facilities in Sunfield Recycling Center. And so we're really happy that we reached over 100 tons this year, or in the last fiscal year, from Sunfield Recycling Center. And likely those numbers are a little bit higher. With these numbers, we have really good position to leverage our data for funding, and Eagle just released their infrastructure grants for this fiscal year. And the department's in communications with Claudine Williams and the Controller's Office on the grants. The department also participated in Pumpkin Chuck this weekend. It was a very successful event. We were really happy to work with the Parks Department, and we did get some recycling from the Grand Ledge community and the greater Eaton County community. So that was a really nice experience, and the department's looking forward to doing more events with the parks and local communities. And another update with the parks, working with Ethan Jacobs and Claudine Williams, we are going to be implementing some plastic water bottle recycling at the county parks. And this will start with just the water bottles, and if successful, we'll look to move forward with the program. And all of those materials will be coming to the Sunfield Recycling Center for processing and sale. With our county programs, the events, we have confirmation from both the road commission and our vendors. We're looking at the second Saturday in May and the second Saturday in August for our events. The May event will be in Delta Township, and the August event will be in Charlotte. The mobile recycling program, with the end of the fiscal year, the department's been reviewing all of our data, including program hours, staff time, and we're currently moving into the next calendar year of any changes we can make to make it more efficient. And this will be our first full year running the mobile recycling program for the hub and spoke model. In its initial pilot year, we acquired 30,000 pounds worth of recyclable material from our communities here in Eaton County. With our numbers, we're probably going to be around 1,000 to 2,000 pounds a week with our mobile recycling trailer, and we may end up being on the high end of that. So we're looking at approximately 50,000 to 100,000 pounds of materials coming with just our mobile recycling program. And with our numbers being so good, at the Sunfield Recycling Center, under new state regulations, there's a designation called a Material Recovery Facility. And under that designation, Sunfield Recycling Center does qualify. And the threshold for registration with the state of Michigan is 100 tons of material. So with the department reaching that 100 tons of material, we're going to be looking this year to officially register the Sunfield Recycling Center as a material recovery facility. And the department will keep you updated on that process. Other things to note, commodity prices have dropped, and so the department's looking at the effects it will have on its budget. And again, we sell the materials, and the commodity market can fluctuate, changing what we get for our price of sold materials. The mobile recycling program, we're excited. We're going to be purchasing this month. We're going to be purchasing the trailer, the scale, and then we're looking at rolling out our mobile recycling program in calendar year 2026 to communities all around Eaton County. So we're going to be having a constant collection of electronics, and this will be looking at the cost relationship between running a program like this and having the events where we do our electronics recycling. And so the department will be evaluating the program as we move along. As far as education, we did our first Composting 101 class at the Delta Township Library this month. Attendance was strong, and we really enjoyed working with the Delta Township Library staff, and we are currently in talks to do more programming, and we are looking at other districts in Eaton Rapids, Grand Ledge, Charlotte, and others, Bellevue, Olivet, to do classes. So if commissioners are interested, please contact the department, and we can have composting and recycling 101 classes in our communities. In addition to that, we are regularly attending Eagle conferences, seminars, DPA work groups for planning agencies, and we are also doing forklift certification to improve our operations at Sunfield Recycling Center. The MMP, We're continuing to work with the Controller's Office on budget amendments to reflect the changes to healthcare costs since the grant's approval. And we anticipate this next month or in January to be in front of the commissioners for the budget amendments. Our meeting this month for the Materials Management Planning Committee fell on Veterans Day, Tuesday, November 11th. We are rescheduled officially for November 19th for a special meeting, and so the department will be putting out a notice for the special meeting, and at that special meeting, we'll have Food Rescue US Lansing Communities to discuss food rescue efforts from grocery stores, restaurants, and other institutions where they take excess food and distribute it to local community members and food banks, which is really vital in times like today. So we're really looking forward to hosting Food Rescue US in our next meeting on November 19th. And that concludes the department's report.
Yes, Commissioner Drosh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your report, Jared. Question, I mean, we talked about, because I sit on that work group, we talked about landfills not accepting food material, which is, to me, is kind of silly because it's the only true biodegradable thing that's going to go into landfill. But with that in mind, what are the implications to the public should that become be put in place? I mean, here we are, we've got recycling trailer, we got bins at home. Are we going to get a third bin just for garbage?
That is yet to be determined. What we see happening in the long term, this is a state mandate, so regardless of what county you're in, what landfills you use, we see eventually the private market, because landfills are owned and operated by the private market, to comply with these regulations. Notices might be sent out discouraging the disposal of food waste in landfills, much like how in 1994 we had yard waste banned from Michigan landfills. And we anticipate a transition period for that. And through that transition period, we see a lot more people home composting because the implications, like you said, are we going to have a trash bin, a recycling bin, and a yard waste, food waste bin? And the answer is that seems to be likely. And with that additional cost, we see a lot more residents in Eaton County, if they have the opportunity, building compost piles and maybe more community. There's a lot of other avenues, whereas waste, specifically trash and landfillable waste and recyclables, they have a specific process and legal process to go through. Something like composting could be much more community-based and be much lower cost. So we do see Granger Waste Management and other waste haulers offering food waste services, including My Green Michigan, that's run through Hammond Farms. But to avoid those extra costs, we see a lot more people composting at home and engaging in community programs that are probably going to be lower cost than another $15, $20 a month for your curbside.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have Parks.
Good morning, Commissioners. So for our update, first up, Natural Capital Forestry has begun marking trees out at Fox Park per our strategic timber harvest. Once this is done, we're hoping to have a harvest take place mid-January, early February. This past month, we held 2 community events at Lincoln Brick Park to discuss this strategic timber harvest and what that means for the parks. More information will be up on our website in the coming weeks about this project. The Fitzgerald Park stairs are, for the most part, completed. The fencing still has to come down. That'll be happening in the coming week. Ben Youngs and I did a final walkthrough with Moore and Trosper and John Johnson Land Ethics, and everything looked good on their end. October 15th, I attended the MNRTF board meeting to advocate for our grant application to acquire that additional 50 acres next to Lincoln Brick Park. That went well. There was a lot of really great feedback from those board members, so I'm hopeful that in December we will receive funding for that project. Met with the Maple Valley Schools superintendent to discuss possible funding for paving the unpaved section of the Thornapple Trail. And the Lincoln Brick Nature Center hosted its first group of school-age kids for ABNL. If you look further down in your packet, you'll see some pictures from that. Overall, a lot of really great feedback from the school employees as well as the kids themselves. We're hoping to do a ribbon cutting in the near future for that facility. And then, as Jared said, I had a meeting with Resource Recovery to discuss piloting a recycling program at Fitzgerald and Lincoln Brick Park. We are planning to start that up in the spring through the summer of 2026 and see how that goes. Events and programming. So this past weekend, we did hold our second annual Pumpkin Chuck at Fitzgerald Park. Based on the data we collected from our volunteers up at the front gate, it seems like we had a little over 600 people show up, which was a significant increase from last year. We're hoping to grow this event each year, and I can't stress enough the amount of hard work that went into this event. Clara Alderman, our events coordinator, did a great job getting the word out. Ben Youngs and Dan Mueller, you know, they're the only people that could effectively make the changes and the maintenance for our pumpkin chucker. And it really made the event that much better. So we have a great staff at Parks, and that's why this event was such a success. October events, a lot of that were trick-or-treating events around the county area. November, Pumpkin Chuck, and then we have October Owls on November 15th. That was a rescheduled one from our October events. Operations update. So our operations staff has been focusing heavily on fall cleanup efforts. Right now, the department has 2 seasonal employees. By the end of the month, we will be down to 1 seasonal employee. Major projects for November, continuing fall cleanup, hauling away demolished boardwalk from Keeney Environmental Area, and getting our summer equipment down to Crandall and our winter equipment up to Fitzgerald Park. Any questions? Yes?
Yes, Commissioner Wright.
With the pumpkin chuck, I did see the pictures that you included. That was nice. And I seen a good turnout through those pictures. But what do you do with all the pumpkins?
So all the pumpkins get donated to Hammond Farms for their composting initiative.
Oh, okay. Can you, I seen some people were collecting them in our rural area to feed their goats and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we have,
On Facebook.
yeah, we did have some community members ask if they could take some of the pumpkin guts for their chickens and their goats, and we let that happen, so.
Yeah, I have some pumpkins, and I didn't bring them to the pumpkin chuck because I'm going to feed the deer with them at my brother.
It's another good use for them.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
One thing.
Yeah.
One thing. Do you have a title? What's your title?
Oh, I'm no longer interim. I am officially the new Parks Director.
The Parks Director.
Yeah.
Right?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Is that what you
That
wanted
was gonna
there?
be my comment, that he was no longer gonna be a part-time interim, he's now full-time, it's 24/7, Ethan, from here on out, so.
Thank you.
And you've got a child you gotta take care of too.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good one.
You and Jared will work together well.
Oh, wait a second, don't go nowhere. All right, so we got the resolution to authorize this grant. Is there anything you want, or any?
Yeah, so this grant will go towards funding the creation of better fish habitat at Crandall Lake. So that the proposal is due on November 19th. We have a meeting later this week to discuss the project with Matthew Diana, our fisheries biologist from the DNR. So.
Is there any, do we have to put up any money to help you?
So there's a 10% match. We're still working out project specifics as in terms of how much money we'll be asking for on the grant side of things. The minimum is $25,000. Claudine and I had discussed this yesterday, and we think probably at the most we'd be asking $100,000. So $10,000 would be the match then from the county.
So you're asking from 2,500 all the way to?
Well, so we wrote the resolution for an amount not to exceed 100,000. The requirement of the grant is that you meet with somebody from the DNR to flesh out the project. We couldn't get a meeting with them until Friday. So we'll have a better idea after Friday. But we don't think that we're gonna have a project that's gonna be over $100,000. So it could be less, but it will not be more. So in response, the admin could be less than 10,000, but it won't be more than 10,000. So, and we'll have better numbers. We can amend the resolution to have better numbers for the board meeting if you would like us to. If you would like it to be more clear rather than the up to or not to exceed.
I think if we get information from your meeting, I think that's the only prudent thing to do.
Sure,
Is
we can do
that, so that way at the board meeting that everybody can see the actual amount.
Yep, we can do that.
Yes, Commissioner Wright.
Is that up to 10,000, is that coming from the Parks millage money? Okay, so it's not our general fund?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
And are we including our administrative fee, our 20% that we charge?
Yeah, so that will need to go to the grant admin fee. Yeah, that'll need to go to Waze. That's what Ben just came over and asked me about. So yeah, that'll have to go through Waze too, the admin on it.
Which at some point, we're gonna have to modify that policy, because what we have found is some grants don't allow admin, or they do and it's a lower threshold. So I think we do need to tweak that policy so it's a little easier to administer, you know, because in cases where we can't do 15%, we have to take that for an override every time. So we've had discussions.
I did see in the grant too that it does allow for staffing. No, it does allow for some staffing in the grant, so we might be able to work the admin into that staffing portion of the grant too. So we just have to look at it a little closer.
We need recommendation.
I need somebody to do something besides me.
I make, okay, moved and seconded over there.
Okay, I got a motion. Do I got a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Whew, hard crowd today. All right, all in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much now.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Ethan.
Okay, so we're moving on to committee appointments.
Yeah, so in your packet, you have all the citizen involvement applications that we received. And then they're spelled out there, the 1, 2, and 3. The Tri-County Office on Aging, we did not receive any applications for. That one has to be somebody who is 60 years or older, so we can put another ad in the paper. We can do a more focused Facebook post, but I would ask you as commissioners to try and go out and find people to apply for that position. The positions all need to be appointed at your December meeting, because they have to be in place before January 1st. So just, is it about that one specifically?
Go ahead. Yes, Commissioner.
I was just gonna ask if Logan has the capacity, just asking for us to share it. If he could make like some sort of thing we could share on Facebook and email it to us, that'd be super
Yeah.
helpful.
Yep.
And we can just get people to apply for it.
Yep, he's out of the office this week, but we can definitely have him work on that for next week.
If he could
out
just
on
make like a
Facebook,
little
yeah.
square and we can
Yep.
all disperse.
Yep, we can do that.
For Tri-County Office on Aging, how many openings are there?
There's one.
Okay,
So I guess Tri-County Office on Aging is, it's the advisory council. That's the one that you appoint. It's unfinished term. So that's the one that you appointed Blake Mulder to. And Blake
Oh,
Mulder
yes,
is moving out of the area, so he no longer is a resident of Eaton County. So that's why we need somebody for that spot. It's the advisory board.
and the important part is, because I'm on the Tri-County Office on Aging Board as well as Scott, is that the advisory group actually does look over the independent contracts and things like that and take into consideration comments that have been made, you know, and things like that. So it's really an important position. I just wanted everyone to know when you put that out on Facebook or whatever, that competency is good, attendance is wonderful.
And I also do think it's a good idea for Logan to, because I know on Facebook, he's able to focus on the 60 and older age group. I think that'd be also a good idea, just to help, spread the word a little bit, focused.
Then the Department of Human Services Board, that is an appointment that's expired. It is an appointment that Judge Evelyn used to hold, and he is not seeking reappointment. So that's what there's one opening, that's what that one is. There are 2 applications in your packet for that one. And then the other one is the Road Commission, and there's, I think, 7 applications in there for the Road Commission, maybe. There are 2 seats for that one. One of the applications that is in the packet is a current serving member, which is Dwayne Eldred. So he is seeking reappointment, and his is in there. We did not hear back from the other sitting Road Commission member, so that one was a representative from the Delta Township area.
So I have a question for the board. Since, all these were told, weren't told to be here today at this meeting, right? Because typically for the road commission, they come in and, so my question to the board is how do you want to proceed on these? Do you, and we just got them, right? You just got them in your packet, and you had a day to look at them. So how does the board want to proceed? Do we want to vote now, or do we want to push it off till next month? Yes, Commissioner Drosha.
I would recommend we wait a month on this and see if we get any more applicants. And, what is the deadline on?
So we put a deadline on all the applications of last week, Friday, of October 31st. If you would like us to try and get more applications for the Tri-County Office Advisory Board, we can do another focused, targeted one on that, and then we can put a cutoff like December 1st, I guess, of that, because you meet on the 3rd. And then we could bring new applications back for that one. We can invite everybody to come in for interviews. You can pick who you want to invite back for interviews, however you want to do it.
I think if we have more applications than seats, I think it's a good idea if, I don't know, I'm just sort of throwing it out there to the board. I mean, that's sort of how I feel, like right now at the road commission, you got 2 seats and you got 6 or 7 people. I think that would be a good idea for them to come in and, state their piece. But if you have 1 seat and 1 applicant,
Well, and one of the things that I noticed, and not just with this particular example, but we get a lot of familiar faces coming through here. Same people on the same board time after time, and I'd like to see more involvement than that. I agree. If we got 1 seat open, we got 7 applicants, I think that would be good and healthy for our county. So, again, I would recommend putting this off.
Okay, yeah. So just to clarify, are you saying open the window for all of them, or just the Office on Aging, because we didn't?
I would like all of them.
You would like all of them?
I didn't promote this at the 2 townships I represent, and I probably should have, but I think it's, we need to get things stirred up here a little bit and get some different names in here if that's not a problem. I don't think any of these are going to be such that the board won't function with an absence. So Just a thought.
Commissioner Tui?
Yeah, I mean, if the board wants some more time to look over these or have some folks come in, that's fine. I don't personally have a problem with the number of applicants, except obviously for Tri-County Office on Aging, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yes, Commissioner Wright?
In the past, we've gone even a year without having 2 members on the advisory committee. It's for whatever reason, it's been difficult over my years of service to keep 2 people over at Tri-County Office on Aging, and the one person is my neighbor, and she's really dedicated, so I talked to her a lot about it. So I'm happy that was my concern, was that she was gonna get off. And I know she's gonna be at the full board meeting on November, so I was surprised if it would have been her. So, but the other ones, I did do a couple of backgrounds on the Department of Human Services Board. And so, yeah, if you want to invite them, that's fine. One of them has extensive service time in over there, and they're financially literate, so that's a help.
Yes, Commissioner.
I think we should extend the deadline, and we should ask anybody who wants to come in to talk, to come in to talk. If they want to meet us, and if they want a position in a committee, it would be nice to see their face, even if there's only one applicant to meet that person, so.
Do you want to extend all of them or just the?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
If you-
okay with
If you
it.
applied and you really want to have this position, come in, and meet us. It's not an interview, really, it's just, kind of shows their initiative, I think, a little bit too.
So I would suggest extending it then until the 21st, and that way we have time to get them in a packet and out to you in plenty of time before the 3rd, because the 27th and 28th are Thanksgiving. So if we do the 21st, then I can forward them to all of you guys on Monday, the 24th, and then that gives you a week and a couple days to look at them before the meeting.
And that's, since Logan isn't in, that basically puts it at 2 weeks, it'll be out there.
It's okay.
Yeah, I can get it in the paper yet today. I think noon today is the cutoff, so I can get it in the paper this weekend yet, so it'll be out for 2 more weeks.
Commissioner Christensen?
And Claudine, if we do that, does that mean if anybody that does apply for one of those positions and they want to speak their piece or tell us a little bit about themselves, that type of thing, they would attend the 3rd meeting of,
Yes.
December 3rd meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so it looks like that's the consensus, or we got a motion on the floor to postpone voting on any of these until the December 3rd meeting, also directing the administration to open the window back up through the 21st? Is that what you said, Claudia?
Yep.
Through the-
I mean, we can make it later than that, but I just want you guys to have time to look at the applications, so.
I don't think we need a motion.
Okay, all right,
We're fine.
all right. That's cool with me. I'm easy peasy. All right, so then ends that discussion. So we move on to landfill report.
Yep, so Chad was not able to be here this morning, so he sent me an email. And he said the 2 reports in the packet are for the biannual testing for the former landfill site. The property is approximately 160 acres located in Benton Township. One report is a sampling of the groundwater quality, and then the other one is the PFAS monitoring. Sorry, I'm trying to get there in the packet. He said both test results fall within the allowable limitations as of March for the Eagle guidelines. There were no significant changes or conditions since the last testing that we did in March of '25, and that will continue the biannual testing to meet the Eagle requirements.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any question of Claudine in the report? All right. Moving on to 12, miscellaneous. Oh, yes, Commissioner DeRosa.
Thank you. Chad's not here, but I had a discussion with him, and this stems from a discussion I had with a Benton Township resident. It all goes back to MSU Extension and 4-H. Bear with me. we are supposed to keep the landfill near Fox Park clear of brush, debris, all that stuff. And we've got 4-H members that raise goats. And so the suggestion was that the Parks Department fund some kind of shelter and water setup at that landfill site that is fenced in, and repair the fence around that landfill site, and then allow 4-H groups through some kind of selection process yet to be determined, because we don't know how many goats it's gonna take to clear that out. But allow goats to graze on that cap, that landfill cap, and it would have to go through the approval of whoever, whatever agency's involved, I get that. But I thought that'd be a great goodwill gesture for our 4-H clubs, and let them get involved with the county and the parks on maintaining some of our property. So I know there's restrictions. Water would have to be brought in, so they'd have to have some kind of reservoir set up and watering system. The shelter that we would provide would be on the perimeter fence, not on the cap area. So it would be separate from that cap area. And I was hoping to have a discussion with Chad, but he was busy this morning. So anyway, I just want to throw that out for consideration, that maybe by February, March, we're taking a serious look at whether we can implement this through the graces of whatever agency controls that landfill, and offer it as a goodwill gesture and community involvement.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, now, anything else, Commissioner DeRosa?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
It's a comedy hour around here. All right, so number 12, miscellaneous Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency.
Yep, so I just
Grant.
wanted you to be aware, you approved the department to apply for this grant several months ago. However, after the grant application was submitted and the deadline had passed, when the state of Michigan budget got approved, the budget for this particular grant was changed in scope and does not allow for all of the services that we had applied for in the grant. So we used this money for emergency relief for veterans, for Meyer food cards, to pay some dental bills and things of that nature. And they're saying we can't use the money for that anymore. We can only use it for salaries and department equipment. So we're gonna have to rewrite the grant so that it is only for salaries. It did have a salary in it previously, so it's not asking for something we didn't already ask for. I don't think we need any action on it. I just wanted you to be aware that I am in the process of submitting a new application that will only be for staffing. The next item under miscellaneous is a resolution to appoint the county medical examiner. And that is the amended agenda item. We apologize, but that just came in yesterday and we didn't want to wait a whole nother month to put it before you. So that was what you amended the agenda for. It's to appoint a new deputy county medical examiner, as Dr. Moon is no longer with Sparrow. So this is appointing the new deputy, Dr. Petra Rahman, to serve as the deputy county medical examiner.
Make a motion that we accept this resolution and appoint the new person that's going to be the medical examiner in Eaton County.
I got a motion and support. All in favor, or open up the discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner DeRosa.
Claudine, will this incur any additional cost for this position?
Nope, it's just a replacement of staff. It happens occasionally.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so next thing we have is limited public comment. Is there anybody?
I had a question.
Yes.
So, under the grant, the veterans grant, the way it was, we used the funds to do specific things for veterans. Where are we going to get the money to do those things that are needed?
So the county does not have that funding to provide them. So it's just a service we won't provide any longer. They can still go to the dental clinic, it just isn't going to be paid for.
Another one of our cuts that we can't do. Okay. I just,
It's all state of Michigan funding, so. From what I understand, the budget was amended like at the last hour
Okay.
and to take those things out.
My concern is that the people obviously who were qualifying to use those funds are going to have a problem over at the dental clinic.
Well, from what I understand, those people's projects were all wrapped up. But from the MVAA's perspective, their response is people can apply for Soldiers and Sailors Relief money, or they can apply for Michigan Trust Fund money to cover any of the costs for the things that we were providing.
Oh, okay.
That's their response when you
Thanks for
ask
that
them.
answer, because I was concerned. Again, the dental clinic is one of my things.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, moving on to 13, limited public comment. If anybody in the, yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Jim Orr, 700 East Nye Highway. I'm on the Brookfield Township Board as a trustee. I just wanted to thank you guys for extending the Planning Commission, planning and zoning stuff out for a little bit while we try and figure things out. I'm kind of on the low end of the telephone line of hearing information as it fades down. In this last couple months, I was able to make it to the August Township Information Meeting, and sadly, I admit that I was very poor about watching these meetings or attending these meetings to be aware of what was going on, and so now I'm much more engaged in trying to figure out what we need to do as a township. Brookfield being one of the smaller, poorer-funded townships, it's going to be an interesting decision, and so we're going to try and get things figured out in time. Our meeting is, we meet every other month, and so our meeting is going to be on December 1st, so we should, be able to do something, whether we have to have special meetings or whatever before. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, but the part of my concerns had been that I would hear things, and I know the communication issue come up, and I understand that that's not any particular person's problem or fault. But from that August meeting on through, started watching the, I think it was the Ways and Means Committee meeting that was in September, when kind of said, nope, not doing the contract, and off we go to, so then it was just a lot of questions, like, what's gonna happen October 1st? And I still have a lot of questions, like, they said about the fees funding the zoning and planning stuff. So I think that's where a lot of us have been, is like, we could make a decision if we knew it was A or B, potentially, and getting the townships to all agree is kind of like herding cats, and I get that too, and appreciate the difficulty on both ends with you having multiple committees to have to work through, and us having the number of people we have to get to agree on anything. So anyway, just wanted to express my appreciation for the extension into December. Thank you.
Very much, sir. Any other public comment? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and adjourn to December 3rd.